My wife's car was still in the driveway, but when I stepped inside, the house was empty, except for a single sticky note on the fridge. I couldn't keep living a lie. I'm with him now. Don't call. I took a deep breath before reaching for my phone. If she thought I'd stay silent, she was dead wrong. I couldn't keep living a lie. I'm with him now. Don't call. I stared at it. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. Rachel's handwriting. Short. Cold. Like I was just a minor inconvenience. I looked around the kitchen. Everything was the same. The coffee maker still had grounds from this morning. The sink had the cereal bowl I used before work. The mail was on the counter, unopened. It was just a normal day. Except my wife was gone. I walked through the house in a daze. Her closet was nearly empty. The suitcase we took on our honeymoon? Gone. Her makeup bag? Gone. Her laptop? Still here. That didn't make sense. Then it hit me, her car was still in the driveway. So how did she leave? I checked my phone. No missed calls. No texts. Nothing. My heart was pounding, but I didn't feel sad. Not yet. I was too confused, too angry. And then I saw the bedroom nightstand. Our wedding photo was gone. Not any of the others. Not the framed picture from our vacation in Mexico. Not the one from Christmas with her parents. Just our wedding photo. That's when I knew this wasn't a mistake. She wasn't coming back. And whoever he was, he had been in my house. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. I should have seen this coming, right? There had to be signs. But we weren't fighting. She wasn't distant. She kissed me goodbye that morning like any other day. Was it an act? Was she faking it for weeks? Months? I grabbed my laptop and logged into our bank account. And that's when my stomach dropped. Our savings account? Empty. All $42,000, gone. The transaction history showed withdrawals over the last few weeks. Small amounts at first. 500 here, 1,000 there. Then, last night, she took the rest in one big transfer. She had been planning this. She didn't just leave me. She robbed me. And she thought I'd just accept it? I checked the transaction details. Most of them were online transfers, but one caught my eye, a charge from a hotel. A cheap one. Just outside of town. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't heartbroken. I was furious. I grabbed my keys and drove straight there. The place was a dump. Faded red neon sign. Smelled like cigarettes and cheap carpet cleaner. I walked up to the front desk. The woman behind the counter barely looked up. I'm looking for someone, I said, pulling up a picture of Rachel on my phone. Have you seen her? She chewed her gum, glanced at the phone, and nodded. Room 214. I took the stairs 2 at a time. My whole body was hot with anger. I stopped in front of the door. Took a breath. Then knocked. Silence. Then I heard movement. I knocked again, harder. Rachel, open the door. More rustling. Then the door cracked open just an inch. Rachel's face appeared, eyes wide. She looked like she had just woken up. Messy hair, wearing a hoodie that wasn't mine. Behind her, sitting on the bed like a deer in headlights, was Greg. Greg wasn't some random guy. He wasn't a coworker or some secret fling. Greg was my friend. I had known him for years. We played poker together. We went to the same bar. We helped each other move furniture. And now, he was sitting there in a hoodie and boxers, in a crappy hotel room, with my wife. Rachel let out a deep sigh, like I was the one causing problems. I told you not to call. I stared at her, then at Greg. My voice came out quieter than I expected. This is a joke, right? Greg rubbed his face. Man, listen, I shoved the door open all the way. Greg scrambled back. You think you can just take off, steal my money, and what, live happily ever after? My voice was calm, but I felt like I could explode. Rachel rolled her eyes. It's over. I wasn't, but without my money? Without a home? Without Greg's wife covering his bills? They had nothing. Greg tried to apologize. He showed up at my work one day, looking like hell. Man, I screwed up. I just smiled. You will be. Greg and Rachel thought they could just walk away and start fresh. But life doesn't work that way. After Greg's wife, Lisa, threw him out, things started falling apart for him fast. He had been living off of her income for years. Turns out, Lisa was the one who handled the bills, the mortgage, the car payments. Without her, Greg had nothing. Rachel? She wasn't doing much better. She didn't just drain our savings. She had maxed out a joint credit card I forgot we had. It was in my name too, but she had been the one using it. That meant one thing: I could dispute the charges. And that's exactly what I did. I called the credit card company and went through every single charge. Yeah, I didn't authorize that. Nope, not that one either. One by one, the fraudulent transactions disappeared. The company reversed them. But where did the money come from? Rachel's bank account. Her fancy hotel stay? Gone. The expensive dinners she and Greg had? Reversed. The $8,000 she spent on a luxury spa trip? Pulled right back. I could picture the look on her face when she checked her account. With his wife gone and his money dried up, Greg was desperate. He tried to smooth things over at work, but word spread fast about what he did. His boss, a guy who had been married for 20 years, wasn't impressed. Greg started showing up late. He looked like crap. And then, one day, he was just gone. Fired. No job. No wife. No money. And Rachel? She had hitched her wagon to a sinking ship. I was at home, enjoying a drink on my back porch, when my phone buzzed. Rachel. I let it ring. Then she texted. Hey. Can we talk? I stared at the screen. Was she serious? A minute later, another text. I made a mistake. I laughed out loud. A mistake? Draining our savings? Stealing from me? Running off with my so-called best friend? That wasn't a mistake. That was a decision. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I left her on read. I thought I had uncovered everything. I thought I had gotten my revenge. But then, I got an email from Lisa. The subject line? You're going to want to see this. I clicked on it. And what I saw changed everything. Lisa's email had an attachment. A bank statement. At first, I didn't get it. It wasn't mine. It wasn't hers. Then I saw the name on the account, Gregory Tanner and Rachel Tanner. I blinked. Rachel Tanner? I scrolled back up. Reread it. It was a joint account. Rachel had changed her last name. Not legally, not yet. But she had used it to open a bank account with Greg. And the kicker? This account had been open for 6 months. I scrolled through the transactions. The deposits weren't just from Greg's salary, there were wire transfers from my own accounts. My head started spinning. Rachel hadn't just been taking money before she left. She had been stealing from me for months. And not just from our joint savings. I checked my personal account. There were withdrawals I didn't recognize. Small amounts, spaced out, just enough to go unnoticed. I had been funding her secret life without even knowing it. I picked up the phone and called Lisa. She answered immediately. You saw it? Yeah. How the hell did you get this? She exhaled. Greg's an idiot. I still had access to our home computer. He saved his login info. I got curious. I ran a hand down my face. They've been planning this for months. Lisa scoffed. Oh, it gets worse. Keep scrolling. I did. Near the bottom of the statement, there was one last deposit. A direct transfer from my company. My stomach dropped. Rachel had access to my personal banking, she knew all my passwords. But there was no way she could get into my work finances. Unless, Lisa, I said slowly. Greg worked in accounting at my company. Silence. Then she said, oh my God. I shot up from my chair. This wasn't just personal anymore. Greg had embezzled money. And Rachel? She helped him. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was furious. They hadn't just betrayed me. They had stolen from my job. That meant jail time. And I was going to make sure they paid for it. I didn't waste time. The second I realized Greg and Rachel had stolen from my company, I knew exactly what to do. I grabbed every piece of proof I had, Lisa's bank statement, the wire transfers, screenshots from my personal account, and every suspicious charge Rachel had made. Then, I sent one email. Subject, urgent, possible fraud in accounting to, my boss, HR, and the company's legal team. I kept it short and professional. I explained that someone in accounting had been moving company money into a private account, and I had proof. And just like that, the final nail was in Greg's coffin. The next morning, I walked into work like nothing was wrong. Except Greg's office was already empty. HR and the company's legal team had acted fast. They went through the records, confirmed everything I sent, and before Greg even had a chance to defend himself, he was fired. No severance. No second chances. Security escorted him out while everyone in the office watched. And now, he had lawyers after him. Rachel went from living in our nice house to couch surfing at a friend's place. Then, she tried to call me again. This time, I answered. I let her talk. She started crying, saying she had made a mistake, that Greg had tricked her. That she didn't know what was really happening. I let her sob for a good 30 seconds before I said, "You didn't seem so confused when you drained our bank account." Then, I hung up. That was the last time I ever spoke to her. A month later, Greg was officially charged with felony embezzlement. The company didn't just fire him, they sued him for damages. The court froze his remaining assets, and since he had no way to pay back what he stole, he had two options: take a plea deal and go to prison for 3 years. Fight it in court and risk 10 years. He took the plea. Greg went to prison. Rachel, of course, wasn't waiting for him. She tried dating around, but no one wanted to deal with her baggage. She had no money, a ruined reputation, and nothing to her name. She ended up renting a tiny apartment and working as a receptionist. From luxury vacations and fancy hotels to barely making rent. She had thrown away a good life for nothing. Lisa? She came out on top. She finalized her divorce from Greg, took their house, their car, and even got half his remaining assets before the court froze his accounts. And the best part? She started dating again, and found someone way better than Greg. I sold my house, moved to a nicer neighborhood, and took a long, well-earned vacation. Rachel and Greg thought they were going to start fresh, but they ended up with nothing. Greg? Prison. Rachel? Broke and alone. And me? I walked away with justice served.